25 Dark Secrets. The British royal family preferred you don't know. The British royal family has long captured the world's attention, often seen as the epitome of elegance, tradition, and decorum. But behind the grandeur, there are secrets the royals would rather keep hidden. As the face of Britain, one might expect them to maintain an impeccable public image, but over the years, various scandals and controversies have come to light. Some of these incidents may have been beyond their control, but being royalty, they're held to higher expectations than the average person. From illicit affairs to questionable activities, the royal family has its own collection of skeletons in the closet, serving up a tantalizing dose of British drama. While some of these stories might be familiar, others could catch you by surprise. So let us walk you through the 25 dark secrets the British royal family would prefer you didn't know. Stay tuned. Number 1. The Lost Prince. The British royal family has long been known for its secretive nature, but the story of the Lost Prince of England is not one of concealment. Prince John, the youngest child and fifth son of King George IV and Queen Mary of Teck, was born in 1905. He was diagnosed with epilepsy in 1910, just a year before his father ascended the throne following the death of King Edward VII. Despite his diagnosis, Prince John was seen in public and continued to perform his royal duties. However, as he grew older, his seizures became more severe, leading to his seclusion. At the age of 11, Prince John was moved to Sandringham House to receive better care. There, he was looked after by his governess, Lala Bill, and enjoyed the companionship of local children, whom his mother arranged to be his playmates. Contrary to popular belief, which was fueled by a film adaptation of his life called Asterisk, The Lost Prince Asterisk, John was not abandoned by his family, but was deeply loved and cared for. Sadly, in January 1919, at the age of 13, Prince John died after suffering a fatal seizure. The royal family faced criticism for keeping details of his illness, whereabouts, and death private, only revealing them after his tragic passing. Number 2. Pure bloodlines. The British royal family, despite their status as symbols of British heritage, do not actually have a pure English bloodline. In fact, they've had strong ties with Germany for centuries. Those familiar with royal history may recall Queen Victoria, who ruled in the 19th century, and her husband, Prince Albert, who served as Prince Consort. Prince Albert was a German prince from the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. This German connection was prominent until 1917, when King George V, in response to growing anti-German sentiment during World War I, changed the family name from Saxe-Coburg and Gotha to Windsor. While Queen Victoria herself was of German descent through her mother, the English monarchy traces its lineage all the way back to William the Conqueror, as well as notable figures like Alfred the Great and even the legendary King Cole. Despite the royal family's deep roots in British history, their bloodline is a blend of various European influences. Number 3. Royal inbreeding. The concept of royal inbreeding has long been a topic of discussion and, in some cases, horror. Historically, it was expected that royalty would marry within their own circles to maintain the purity of the bloodline. Even Queen Elizabeth II married her third cousin, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, who was originally a prince of Greece. His family had their own tumultuous history with his uncle, King Constantine I of Greece, forced to abdicate after the Greco-Turkish War. Philip's father was later accused of treason, exiled, and the family fled to France. When it came time for King Charles to marry, he faced a difficult decision: continue the tradition of marrying within the family, risking inbreeding, or choose someone outside the close royal circle, which some feared would dilute the bloodline. There were two schools of thought, one that prioritized preserving the royal bloodline's purity and another that advocated for a more diverse gene pool. Princess Diana proved to be the ideal compromise. She came from noble descent, which maintained the royal bloodline, but was not closely related to the British royal family, thus bringing a fresh, broader genetic perspective. This decision satisfied both sides of the debate. King Charles himself once mentioned that his pool of potential brides was quite limited due to his highly protected and controlled life. This perhaps explains why, as a father, he allowed Princess Diana to take a more modern approach with their sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. Diana chose to send them to public schools and encourage them to engage with the world beyond the royal bubble, which has helped both William and Harry connect more deeply with the British public. While it's still too early to say whether the inclusion of Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle has had a measurable impact on the royal gene pool, their introduction to the royal family has undeniably modernized and enriched the monarchy in other significant ways. Number 4. Prince Andrew's illicit entanglement. The English royal family has faced several serious scandals that captured global attention, but the recent controversy involving Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, is particularly notable. Allegations have surfaced regarding his close ties to sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. This connection reportedly led to Prince Andrew meeting Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who claims she was trapped by Epstein and unable to escape his control. She alleges that Epstein sent her to the Duke of York, where she had sexual encounters with him on 3 occasions when she was just 16 or 17 years old. Virginia filed a lawsuit in August 2021, and while Prince Andrew denied knowing her, a photograph of the two together contradicted his statements. Although Epstein passed away in 2019 before Virginia's allegations came to light, the Duke of York faced significant repercussions. The palace did not conduct an investigation, but the late Queen Elizabeth II removed him from his public duties and stripped him of his military titles. Ultimately, Prince Andrew reached a settlement with Virginia's lawyers in early 2022. Number 5. Prince William caught. It seems Queen Elizabeth II was the only member of the royal family who managed to stay completely out of the reach of the media and tabloids, which isn't surprising given her careful approach to public appearances and statements. Of King Charles III's 2 sons, Prince Harry has often been labeled the wild child, while Prince William has always been seen as the model of decorum, well-composed and polished in public, or so it appeared. However, years after his wedding, Prince William found himself in an unexpected media storm. While on what was supposed to be an all-boys ski trip, he was photographed dancing in a nightclub. The real shock wasn't just that he was out enjoying himself, but that the woman he was seen with was not his wife, Princess Catherine, but Australian model Sophia Taylor. Prince William, who likely underestimated the public's constant interest in his every move, didn't realize that his images and videos were being captured without his knowledge. The tabloids pounced on the story, reveling in every detail of the incident. Reports quickly surfaced that Princess Catherine was furious when the news broke, and the entire royal family was reportedly displeased with the situation. While it's not exactly shocking to see members of the royal family out having a good time, the fact that Prince William was caught in such a compromising position with someone other than his wife raised many eyebrows. Naturally, the royal family made efforts to minimize the fallout and sweep the incident under the rug, as it didn't reflect well on the future heir to the throne. Number 6. The Middleton sibling saga. The Middleton family, like anyone who marries into the British royal family, quickly learned that their private lives would be subject to intense scrutiny. When Prince William proposed to Kate Middleton, the future queen consort began training in royal conduct and handled the pressures with grace, always presenting herself as a model of class. However, the media attention that followed her was relentless. While on vacation in France, Kate was secretly photographed sunbathing topless, and these images were published on the cover of Closer magazine in France. The scandal embarrassed both the Middleton and Windsor families, leading to a successful lawsuit that resulted in the removal of the photos from the internet. But the media frenzy didn't end there. At Prince William and Kate's wedding, Kate's sister Pippa, who served as a bridesmaid, caught the public's attention. Her appearance sparked a media obsession with her figure, particularly her derriere, which made her famous overnight. However, this sudden fame came with a cost. Just a week after the royal wedding, old photos of Pippa in her early 20s resurfaced, showing her dancing in a bra and white skirt with a man in shorts. Not long after, more compromising images surfaced, including topless photos of Pippa and nude pictures of her brother James Middleton. Though these photos were taken long before the royal marriage, they represented a serious invasion of the Middleton family's privacy and further demonstrated the intense and often unforgiving spotlight that comes with being connected to the British royal family. Number 7. Jack the Ripper. Prince Albert Victor Christian Edward, commonly known as Eddie, is one of the most intriguing suspects linked to the Jack the Ripper case. Born in 1865 to Prince Albert Edward, later King Edward VII, and Princess Alexandra, Eddie was Queen Victoria's grandson. During the time of the infamous Ripper murders in 1888, no one suspected Eddie of being involved. Theories connecting him to the crimes only surfaced much later, long after many key figures of the era had passed away. It wasn't until 1962 that Eddie's name was first connected to the Jack the Ripper case. This theory gained attention in 1970 when Dr. Thomas Stowell published an article proposing that Eddie was, in fact, the notorious killer. According to Stowell, Eddie had contracted syphilis during a shore party in the West Indies, which ultimately drove him insane, leading him to commit the Ripper murders. In this version of events, the royal family was aware of Eddie's crimes and had him committed to a private mental institution. Stowell further speculated that Eddie had managed to escape the facility to carry out one of the murders before being reinstitutionalized. Contrary to the official report that Eddie died of influenza in 1892, Stowell claimed that Eddie actually died from softening of the brain caused by syphilis in a private mental hospital in Sandringham. This conspiracy theory, however, has been thoroughly debunked. Witnesses to Eddie's death, including immediate family members, his fiancée, and her parents, have all confirmed that he died from complications of influenza, not from syphilis or any mental condition. Despite the wild theories surrounding his involvement, there remains no credible evidence linking Prince Eddie to the Jack the Ripper murders. Number 8. King George I's betrayal of the Tsar of Russia. One of the darker moments in British royal history involves King George I's decision not to rescue his cousin, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, during the Russian Revolution. In **The Crown**, this moment is dramatized as a brief conversation over breakfast between George IV and Queen Mary at Sandringham, while scenes depict Tsar Nicholas, Tsarina Alexandra, and their 5 children being woken up, mistakenly believing they were being granted safe passage to Britain. Instead, they were imprisoned and eventually executed in a basement in July 1918. The reality was more complex and drawn out. Over several weeks in 1917, King George V wrestled with the idea of offering asylum to Nicholas II, who had abdicated the Russian throne amid rising Bolshevik power. Initially, George V was inclined to help, but his private secretary, Lord Stamfordham, cautioned him against it, fearing that allowing the Romanovs into Britain could stoke the fires of the growing Republican movement in the UK. The political atmosphere at the time was highly charged with hostility towards Germany at its peak, so much so that the British royal family, of German descent, had changed its name from Saxe-Coburg-Gotha to Windsor in July of that year. According to Francis Welch's 2018 book *The Imperial Tea Party*, King George V's decision was largely influenced by the fear of losing his own throne during such a politically turbulent period. In the end, he chose not to offer asylum to his cousin, a decision that sealed the tragic fate of the Russian royal family, who were executed by the Bolsheviks in 1918. Number 9. Prince Philip the Ladies' Man. For decades, rumors circulated about the late Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, and his alleged infidelity to Queen Elizabeth II. However, no concrete evidence has ever surfaced to confirm any affairs. Despite the speculation, Prince Philip himself addressed the rumors with his signature wit. In 2017, he remarked, "Have you ever stopped to think that for the past 40 years, I've never moved anywhere without a policeman accompanying me, so how the hell could I get away with anything like that?" One of the women rumored to have been involved with Prince Philip was Pat Kirkwood, a musical comedy star and the highest-paid actress on the London stage at the time. Allegedly, they dined and danced together while Queen Elizabeth, then 8 months pregnant, stayed at home. Though their supposed relationship was never confirmed, the rumors seriously harmed Kirkwood's career, as many believed she had been Prince Philip's mistress. Another woman linked to the Duke was Helen Corday, a Greek cabaret star and lifelong friend of Philip. Helen had 2 children while separated from her husband, but their paternity was never disclosed. Philip was the godfather to her children and even paid for one child's education, fueling speculation that he was the biological father. Helen, however, denied these claims. Another woman who found herself in the mix of these rumors was Susan Barantes, the late mother of Sarah Ferguson, the former wife of Prince Philip's son, Prince Andrew. Royal biographer Ingrid Seward, in her book My Husband and I, 70 Years of Royal Marriage, claims that Susan was one of several women linked to Prince Philip. Despite the constant gossip and rumors of infidelity, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip remained together for over 7 decades, staying united until Philip's death in April 2021. Number 10. Princess Margaret. Princess Margaret, the younger sister of Queen Elizabeth II, lived a life that stood in stark contrast to the reserved and composed nature of the Queen. While Queen Elizabeth embodied professionalism and decorum, Princess Margaret was known for her carefree, rebellious spirit. She reportedly began smoking and drinking at the young age of 15, and throughout her life, she advocated for living on her own terms, often defying societal expectations. At the age of 22, Margaret started a controversial romance with Captain Peter Townsend, a divorced man whom she had first met when she was just 14 years old. Townsend had served as an equerry to King George VI, and despite their 16-year age difference, it was his divorce that posed the greatest obstacle to their relationship. At the time, Margaret was under 25, meaning she needed the Queen's consent to marry, and as head of the Church of England, Queen Elizabeth faced significant pressure not to approve the union with a divorced man. Compounding the issue, Prime Minister Winston Churchill's cabinet was also unlikely to sanction the marriage. Despite strong public support for the couple, Townsend was sent to Brussels to work as an air attaché for the British Embassy, and rumors about their relationship continued to swirl. After 2 years of separation, they reunited in 1955, and although Margaret had turned 25, she was still unable to marry him due to the ongoing disapproval. In October of that year, Margaret ended the relationship, a decision that marked a turning point in her life. Later in 1960, Princess Margaret married photographer Anthony Armstrong Jones, with whom she had 2 children. However, their marriage eventually unraveled, and the couple divorced in 1978. Margaret and Townsend crossed paths again in 1993, which is believed to be their final meeting. Princess Margaret passed away in 2002 at the age of 71, 7 years after Townsend's death in 1995 at the age of 80. Number 11. Princess Anne's violent dog. Princess Anne holds the distinction of being the only immediate member of the British royal family to ever face criminal charges. While her mother, Queen Elizabeth II, was known for her love of corgis, Princess Anne preferred English bull terriers, though they didn't always have the best reputation for good behavior. In 2001, Princess Anne was fined £500 after her dog Dottie attacked 2 children in Windsor Great Park while off-leash. One child was bitten on the collarbone and leg, while the other was scratched on the arm and also bitten on the leg. But this wasn't the only incident involving her dogs. During a Boxing Day shoot at Sandringham, one of her dogs attacked another dog, causing quite a stir. Additionally, another of Princess Anne's bull terriers, Florence, was responsible for a more tragic event. Florence attacked one of Queen Elizabeth's beloved corgis, resulting in injuries so severe that the corgi had to be put down. These incidents caused public outcry and put a spotlight on the behavior of Princess Anne's pets. Number 12. Prince George, Duke of Kent. Prince George, Duke of Kent, was known for his tall, suave, and debonair appearance, but behind his polished exterior lay a life marked by indulgence in sex and drugs. The 4th son of King George IV, Prince George had a reputation for going wherever his whims took him and engaging with whomever he pleased. He initially pursued a career in the Royal Navy, as was traditional for many male members of the royal family, but his seasickness made life on board unbearable. His digestive disorder worsened at sea, ultimately leading him to leave naval life. Recognizing that George was not suited for a naval career, King George V allowed him to enter the civil service, first with an attachment to the Foreign Office and later with the Home Office Factory Inspectorate, where he inspected working conditions in factories across the country. Despite his professional endeavors, Prince George's personal life was far more scandalous. By the 1920s, his sexual liaisons ranged from the son of the Argentinian ambassador to black review artist Florence Mills. He also became involved with Kiki Whitney Preston, infamously known as the girl with the silver syringe, who introduced him to cocaine and morphine. To rehabilitate his public image, Prince George eventually agreed to marry Princess Marina of Greece, a royal match intended to stabilize his reputation. The couple had 3 children together, but George's tumultuous life was cut short when he tragically died in a plane crash in 1942. Despite his outward charm and royal status, his life was shadowed by controversy and excess. Number 13. Prince Edward VII, Duke of Windsor Edward, ascended to the throne in 1936, but famously abdicated that same year, making his reign the shortest of any British monarch in modern history. His decision to step down was driven by his relationship with Wallis Simpson, an American socialite who had already been divorced twice. At the time, the Church of England opposed the idea of a monarch marrying a divorcee, especially one whose former spouses were still alive. Faced with the choice between the throne and his love for Wallis, Edward chose to abdicate in favor of his younger brother, who became King George VI. Edward and Wallis eventually married and remained together for the rest of their lives. However, the controversy surrounding Edward didn't end with his abdication. Shortly after their marriage, the couple embarked on a tour of Nazi Germany in 1937, which sparked rumors that Edward harbored sympathies for the Nazi regime. This tour, combined with various reports and suspicions, led many to question his political leanings during a particularly tumultuous time in European history. Despite these speculations, Edward and Wallis lived out their years together, primarily in France after his abdication. Number 14. Wild Harry Prince. Harry was once known for his wild, party-loving behavior, especially during his youth. His antics, which were widely reported during his school years and throughout his 20s, were often attributed to the deep trauma of losing his mother, Princess Diana, at such a young age. His rebellious streak extended far beyond drinking and partying. In a recent interview, Harry opened up about his struggles in the years following his mother's death, admitting to heavy drinking and the use of hard drugs. His substance abuse included alcohol, cocaine, cannabis, and more. In 2002, when he was just 17, his father, King Charles, discovered that Harry had been regularly smoking cannabis and drinking alcohol. Concerned for his son's well-being, King Charles took him to Featherstone Lodge, a rehabilitation center. While Harry didn't check in for treatment, he spent the day talking with residents about their struggles and the impact of addiction. This experience, which he described as eye-opening, made him reflect on the consequences of his actions, though it didn't fully deter him from future drug use. In one candid recollection, Prince Harry shared an episode from 2016 when he consumed magic mushrooms and got drunk on tequila while partying with friends in California. These revelations shed light on the challenges he faced during his younger years as he dealt with grief and the pressures of being in the royal spotlight. Number 15. Princess Beatrice. Princess Beatrice, the eldest daughter of Prince Andrew, Duke of York, and Sarah, Duchess of York, has had her share of public attention. In 2006, she briefly dated Paolo Liuzzo, an American who had previously faced charges of assault and battery. The relationship naturally sparked controversy at the time, but it was short-lived. Beatrice later found love with Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi, whom she married in a private ceremony on July 17, 2020. With this marriage, Beatrice became a stepmother to Edoardo's son, Christopher Wolfe, from a previous relationship. On September 18, 2021, she welcomed her first child, a daughter named Sienna Elizabeth Mapelli Mozzi. Number 16. Zara Phillips. Zara Phillips, the granddaughter of Queen Elizabeth II and daughter of Princess Anne, has, like her mother, largely managed to keep a low profile and stay out of the tabloids. However, certain situations have made that difficult, particularly involving her husband, Mike Tindall. In one such instance, Tindall, a former English rugby player, found himself at the center of controversy while on a trip to New Zealand with the English rugby team. After a win over Argentina, the team went to a dwarf tossing club, a move that sparked public outrage due to the nature of the event. Despite the backlash, Mike Tindall expressed no regrets about the night, stating that he had a good time with the other players, and clarifying that none of the team members actually participated in dwarf tossing. Nevertheless, the incident caused a significant stir and put unwanted attention on both Tindall and Zara Phillips, challenging their efforts to lead relatively private lives away from the royal spotlight. Number 17. Queen Elizabeth's first cousins Nerissa and Catherine Bowes-Lyon, first cousins to Queen Elizabeth II and Princess Margaret, were the subject of a long-standing and tragic mystery. Early reports indicated that both women had died, with Nerissa reportedly passing in 1940 and Catherine in 1961. However, it was later revealed that these reports were false. In reality, the two sisters had been placed in the Royal Earlswood Hospital for people with developmental disabilities in 1941. This hospital was the first of its kind in the UK, specifically designed to care for individuals with mental and developmental challenges. Both Nerissa and Catherine were said to be nonverbal and had the mental age of 6. Their placement in the institution and subsequent lack of acknowledgement from the royal family led to widespread speculation that their existence was deliberately concealed. Many believe that the royal family attempted to cover up the situation, distancing themselves from the cousins due to the stigma surrounding mental health at the time. Number 18. King Charles III's affair with Camilla Parker. The world was captivated by the romance between King Charles III and Princess Diana when they first announced their relationship, but beneath the surface, things were far from ideal. In later years, Princess Diana famously remarked that there were 3 of us in this marriage, referring to Charles' ongoing relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. Charles had met Camilla, now Queen Consort, in 1970, and he was reportedly smitten with her from the start. Despite marrying Diana in 1981, his connection with Camilla persisted throughout their marriage. The affair became one of the most publicized scandals involving the British royal family. After years of media speculation and personal turmoil, Charles and Diana eventually divorced in 1996, and nearly a decade later, in 2005, Charles and Camilla were finally married. The relationship that began in secrecy had, by then, become a defining chapter in royal history, with Camilla ultimately stepping into the role of Queen Consort following Charles' ascension to the throne. Number 19. Mohammed Al Fayed blames the royals for Princess Diana's death. After the tragic death of Princess Diana in 1997, Mohammed Al Fayed, whose son Dodi Al Fayed also died in the same car crash in Paris, became one of the most vocal figures accusing the British royal family of being involved in her death. During the 2008 inquest into the deaths of Princess Diana and Dodi, Al Fayed publicly stated his belief that the royal family orchestrated the accident to eliminate Diana. He claimed that Diana had suffered for 2 decades at the hands of what he called the Dracula family. Al Fayed went further, accusing Prince Philip of being a Nazi and a racist, and suggesting that Prince Charles was complicit because he allegedly wanted to marry Camilla. While no concrete evidence has ever emerged to support Al Fayed's claims, and the inquest concluded that the deaths were caused by reckless driving and paparazzi pursuit, his statements have continued to fuel conspiracy theories. Although the official investigation didn't point to any royal involvement, Al Fayed has made it clear where he stands on the matter. Number 20. The Duke of Edinburgh's comments. Prince Philip, the late Duke of Edinburgh, was often criticized for a series of controversial and racially insensitive remarks he made over the years. In the 1980s, during a visit to China, he famously described Beijing as ghastly and made an offensive comment to a group of British students, warning them they would become slitty-eyed if they stayed too long. The remark sparked significant backlash, with many condemning the Duke for his insensitivity. On another occasion, during a trip to Australia, Prince Philip asked an Indigenous leader in Queensland whether they still throw spears at each other, a comment that was widely criticized for its ignorance and insensitivity toward Indigenous culture. These instances, along with others throughout his life, contributed to a legacy marked by off-the-cuff, problematic statements. While Prince Philip's long-standing service and dedication to the monarchy are well remembered, his legacy is also muddied by these decades of casually racist and inappropriate comments that many found offensive. Number 21. King Charles is related to Dracula. No, King Charles III isn't a vampire, but he is distantly related to the historical figure who inspired Bram Stoker's Dracula. This connection traces back to Vlad the Impaler, also known as Vlad III, Vlad Tepes, or Vlad Dracula. Vlad ruled the region of Wallachia, in what is now Romania, and was notorious for his brutal methods of dealing with enemies, most famously through impalement, which earned him his chilling reputation. King Charles is believed to be Vlad the Impaler's great-grandson, 16 times removed through his lineage from Queen Mary, the consort of King George IV. Number 22. Prince Harry the Nazi. In 2005, Prince Harry found himself in a major controversy when he was photographed wearing a Nazi uniform to a costume party. The image caused widespread outrage, and Harry faced severe criticism for his choice. In his memoir **Spare**, Harry later revealed that his brother, Prince William, and sister-in-law, Catherine, Princess of Wales, had actually encouraged him to wear the offensive outfit. He explained that he had been deciding between a pilot uniform and the Nazi costume for a native and colonial-themed party and sought their input. After the photo surfaced and public anger grew, Harry issued a formal apology, acknowledging the gravity of his actions. He described the incident as one of the biggest mistakes of his life, a misstep that cast a shadow over his early public image and highlighted the complexities of growing up in the royal spotlight. Number 23. King Henry III. King Henry III is often remembered for two things: his 6 wives and his insatiable appetite. His reign is notorious for sending 2 of his wives, Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard, to their deaths on the executioner's block at the Tower of London. British schoolchildren often memorize the rhyme, divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived, to recall the fate of each of Henry's wives. His relentless quest for a male heir drove him to divorce 2 wives and have 2 others executed, events that not only shaped his legacy, but also sparked a religious revolution that led to the formation of the Church of England. Henry's infatuation with Anne Boleyn, a lady-in-waiting, and his desire for a male heir led him to break from the Roman Catholic Church. When the Pope refused to grant him a divorce from his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, Henry took matters into his own hands. He separated the English Church from the authority of the Pope, declaring himself the head of the Church of England, and annulled his marriage to Catherine. Henry then married Anne Boleyn, but after she gave birth to a daughter, Elizabeth, and suffered several miscarriages, Henry had Anne arrested. She was accused of adultery with her brother and 4 others, a charge likely fabricated, and became the first English queen to be beheaded. Henry's next marriage, to Jane Seymour, finally gave him the male heir he so desperately wanted, Edward VI. In total, Henry III had 3 legitimate children: Mary, born in 1516 to Catherine of Aragon, Elizabeth, born in 1533 to Anne Boleyn, and Edward, born in 1537 to Jane Seymour. These children each took turns ruling after Henry's death, known as Edward and Sags, Mary Buckingham, and Elizabeth I, respectively. Their reigns, particularly Elizabeth I's, left a lasting impact on English history. Number 24. Richard III. King Richard III was the last Yorkist king of England, whose death at the Battle of Bosworth in 1485 marked the end of the Wars of the Roses and ushered in the Tudor dynasty. His life and legacy have long been shrouded in myth and controversy, made even more intriguing when his remains were discovered beneath a car park in Leicester in 2012. Richard III was the fourth son of Cecily Neville and Richard, Duke of York. When his elder brother Edward Farford ascended the throne, Richard was appointed Duke of Gloucester and became a trusted ally of the king. Upon Edward VII's death, Richard was named protector of his young son, Edward Farth, who was just 12 years old, and his younger brother. At the time, the young princes were under the care of their mother's family, the Woodvilles, whom Richard deeply distrusted. Citing a potential plot against him, Richard took decisive action, seizing custody of Edward Farf and his brother and placing them in the Tower of London, ostensibly for their protection. Richard III was soon crowned king, but rumors of a rescue attempt for the princes reached him. It is suggested that this may have spurred Richard to order the boys' deaths, as they mysteriously vanished from the tower and were never seen again. The disappearance of the princes in the tower has cast a dark shadow over Richard's reign, leading to centuries of speculation about his role in their fate. Number 25. Fergie. In 1992, Sarah Ferguson, commonly known as Fergie, the wife of Prince Andrew, became embroiled in one of the most scandalous moments of the year, the infamous toe-sucking incident. Earlier that year in March, she and Prince Andrew had announced their separation. Just 5 months later, Fergie made headlines when photos surfaced of her on holiday in Saint-Tropez, where her Texas financier lover John Bryan was seen sucking her toes. The images ignited a media frenzy and brought further embarrassment to the royal family. Fergie and Prince Andrew finalized their divorce 4 years later in May 1996, but the scandal remains one of the most memorable royal controversies of the 1990s. That concludes our list of 25 secrets the British royal family would prefer you didn't know. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified about all our future uploads. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.